the times that they were with Mom and how great she was to each and every one of you. You know, as children, and I told some people this, you know, Mom probably loved each of you better than us. She didn't have it. She had a lot of love in her, and she did spend a lot of time with everybody, and it was great. And that was her strength, besides her good wisdom that she passed on to us from time to time. So I'm going to invite our daughter Jenny to talk on behalf, say something on behalf of the grandchildren. She's their representative, and cousin Jeff, I think, is going to say a few words. He's never lost for words. He gets to say these all the time at funerals. And if others want to say a word or two, we have a few minutes for that. So Jenny, why don't you come up?
You can talk for us.
For those of you who don't know me, I'm Jenny Abdo. I'm Helene's second oldest granddaughter. I have been selected to speak on behalf of the grandchildren. Grandma was known as Situ, a Lebanese name for grandmother. The grandchildren range in ages from 18 to 45. For the first 5 of us, our memories of and time spent with her are quite different than those of our younger cousins. When the oldest of us was born, Situ was 46 years old, and she and Grandpa had 3 of their 7 children living at home. So when we were little, Situ was still a young woman. We remember her vibrancy and energy at that time. I think we all knew then, even as young kids, how much she loved both us and life. When we were young, she spent a lot of time with us. That didn't change once we became adults. She was always, in one way or another, a part of our lives. She was fun, energetic, and wise. She enjoyed taking us out and spending time with us. Situ loved to shop, and some of us went with her on her bargain hunting adventures. Several of us were with her at Banks when she found 8 tablecloths for $1. And that was the deal of the day. Some of us, more than others, went to estate and garage sales with her and ended up being the beneficiaries of her purchases. She would buy a lot of clothes on sale, lay them on her bed, and say, "I have a big family and I bought these because I figured somebody could use them." I think this was one of her ways she was trying to teach us at our young ages about how to be frugal. Some of us would tease Situ for washing plastic forks and plates. As it turns out, she was green before her time. Thanks to her, we have appreciated Lebanese cooking. We either spent time cooking with her or devouring her food. She would come over and pull vegetables from our garden, or would dodge traffic on 35W to pull over and pick 10 or 12 grape leaves off the tree. And then she would end up using them to make a batch of grape leaves and freeze them first, and then pull them out for us to eat at a later date. When anyone stopped by, she always made us feel special and loved. She greeted us with a hug and an offer of food. It was always as if she were saying, "Oh, honey, oh, I love you, have some more food." As the time passed and we went through our teenage years and entered adulthood, Situ listened to all of our problems. She was a very nurturing person. I remember when I had moved from Washburn to Orono High School, I was very unhappy with the transition. She gave me her full attention and her sympathetic ear. I was comforted by her words. As the years passed, many of us sought her out for advice and guidance with our various issues and problems. She wasn't one to make assumptions about us or anyone else's reality by the questions she would ask. She wanted to see us grow and mature and did not assume that our personalities and behavior were fixed because of the things we said or did when we were young. She didn't put us in a box. As we grew, she supported us in any way she could. She wanted to be at our events and in our lives, and generously gave us each guidance for the future. We celebrated her, and she celebrated with us, oftentimes over a shot of tequila. In 2011, she was now nearly 89 years old. I had the pleasure and privilege to accompany her for what would be her last trip to Tucson. Situ was always in good spirits, and we had many pleasant conversations. Since I was there to keep her company, she was never bored. Every morning she sensed that I was ready to do something, and every day she replied, "Oh, Jenny, I'm not a very good Situ. I want to get up and go with you, and I can't, and I'm getting so old and I don't like it." She didn't forget any detail, lesson, advice, or concern she had for each of her grandchildren. She remembered past and present details of each of us. Situ was still able to hit the nail on the head for most topics of discussion. She remained warm, loving, generous, and curious, and I never heard Situ be critical, negative, mean, or gossip about anyone. We spent time with her because we truly liked being with her. She was fun and interesting. Each grandchild had his or her own special relationship with her. She was always positive and kind, and said that every person has at least one good streak in them. She was an anchor in our lives and present for so many years. We can't believe that she is no longer with us. Situ, we all love you and will miss you. We will make you proud. We know you will always be with us, and we will live our lives as if every day is a gift.
I've been able to spend a lot of time with Auntie Helen because she would come down and spend the winters there at their house. She and Uncle John, gosh, how many years, Auntie Gary? 20 years, 25, more every year? More. So we although didn't live in Minnesota, we felt like she was really a very close part of our fabric down in Tucson. And since Uncle John passed, even more so, my little family, my wife Deborah and my daughter Lana, got extremely close to Auntie, and she was, very special to my girls. I've always been very appreciative of that, and my wife's pretty broken up right now. She had to stay in Arizona with our daughter, but she was a very close friend with Auntie Helen. They share a lot of attributes, smart, tough ladies that are all about love and nurturing, but make sure you toe the line kind of thing. Auntie Helen, I don't know if everybody knows this, but my father, Dan Jacob, Jimmy, as he was known to a lot of people that have known him for many years, it's the brother of Helen. They grew up with 8 kids in Tucson, Arizona, very humble beginnings. 10 people lived in a 2-bedroom house. Very tight-knit family. Auntie Marlene, who's sitting behind my dad, also from the same family. These are the last of the Mohicans right here, Auntie Mara and my dad. And amazing stories. If you have a chance to listen to anyone, any one of these stories, you ought to do it. But Helen married a dashing officer named John Abdo, and left Arizona to come up to Minnesota a long, long time ago. And what happened after that is my dad went to visit her and ended up meeting her niece and marrying her. So we have a very, very convoluted, relationship. I'm actually related twice to my Abdo cousins. So Bob's my first cousin and my first cousin once removed on both sides of the family. It is legal. I want to just raise this because she had an innate common sense, Aunt Helen, and she came from very humble roots, but good people and major common sense, and came up here into this very educated world that Uncle John brought her into. Look at all these kids, how amazing you guys are. And she has navigated it amazingly and beautiful. Everybody's best friend, giving advice and giving this common sense, which we all need, no matter how many degrees you have, no matter how much money you have, no matter what. She was right on the money most of the time. And I think it's a testament that so many people are remembering her today and over the weekend. And my dad was saying it's just like her mother, our Sito Rose, and she carried that on. she was, of course, just passionate about one, well, I guess two things. I was going to say family, but I got to throw the casino in there too. I was reading the flowers. You know, Mystic Lake actually said flowers. It's amazing. It's amazing. She was a great historian for us. I mean, she knew a lot of stories and a lot of the relations that, you know, both sides of the family went back, and I really am going to miss that. Every year we got a little tidbit of insight into where we came from and this person and that person, and it's great, you know, having that. Me in particular, and I know a lot of us in Arizona, we've had to live with that auntie for the last couple of years because she's been too sick and frail to travel over the last couple of years, and that's been very hard for us. But on the positive side, we've had to, you know, kind of shift into a different gear of having a much stronger sort of spiritual relationship with her and feeling her presence and talking to her. I mean, not always on the phone, but just talking to her, just walking around. And so when I got to see her last week, just by a stroke of luck before she passed, you know, we had some special time, and I have that feeling, and I hope we can all sort of walk away with that, knowing that she's really ever present in your heart, in your mind, in your soul, there giving you a lecture, giving you love, telling you to eat more. You know, there won't be anyone taking the food off my plate anymore. So I'm going to try to make that my calling. She was a Sito, and an aunt, and a friend, a drinking buddy, a mentor, advisor, so many things to so many people and to us in my family. And, you know, I think when you're faced with death, it makes you think a lot of things you don't typically think about all the time. But we try to live well, and I think Helen lived well, and she died well. All of you, most of you that live here have been spending major quality time with her the last couple of years, and we all knew this was coming. It doesn't make it any easier, but when I was there in the room with her last week, and I think Tina and Therese and Larry were there, and you know, the family just kept streaming in and streaming out, and it's remarkable. I mean, just, you don't see that too often every day. I mean, she is completely lifted up by our love and our connection and our prayers, and you know, you're right, Bob. She had enough for everybody. I mean, she just wanted to be everybody's sit-to. So thank you for allowing me to share some of my reflections, Auntie. God bless you, love you, watch over this brood of yours forever and ever, and keep us all together, connected and supportive and kind to each other. Bless you.